Hello, YouTubers, and welcome to Level-Headed News. This is your host, Brenda. I have an article here that I thought was pretty interesting that I wanted to bring to you. It's off of countdowntozerotime.com, and the title of it is, There's a Sinister Theory for Why the Mexican Government Didn't Take Down Fugitive Drug Lord El Chapo Guzman. This story is from 2015, but the reality remains the same, although the game has now changed. Joaquin El Chapo Guzman, most wanted men and the boss of the vaunted Sinaloa cartel, broke out of a Mexican prison in bold fashion in July. Guzman's latest jailbreak follows a 2001 escape that reportedly saw him wheeled out of prison in a laundry cart. To some observers, the reason why the Mexican government couldn't hang on to Guzman is simple: a migrating force, according to some, permitting the release of Guzman, whose cartel controls most of the drug trade in the U.S. and who has been described as a migrating force in the Mexican drug trade, could allow the Sinaloa boss to bring some stability back to the country's narco scene. When I first heard the news, I thought this is either a good thing or a bad thing, a Mexican cartel operative told Ginger Thompson in the days after Guzman's escape. It is a sign of how far things in Mexico are out of control, or it shows that the government is willing to risk a certain amount of international embarrassment in order to restore peace for Mexican people. Federal police hand out flyers to drivers with photos of drug lord Joaquin El Chapo Guzman, offering a reward of 60 million Mexican pesos for the information near the Marquesa toll booth outside Mexico City, July the 16th of 2015. And there's a picture of it here in this article. In this account, putting up with the embarrassment of officials who seemingly ignored the sounds of construction work coming from Guzman's cell and who took 18 minutes to investigate his disappearance from prison cameras, allowed the Mexican government to have a major cartel figure back in the operation, hopefully to stem a growing problem. Experts, Thompson spoke with a senior Mexican intelligence official, an experienced Mexican counter-narcotics agent, and the cartel operative had allowed new actors to bring rising levels of violence to Mexico. They referenced the cartel Jalisco Nueva Generación, and I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that correctly, in the months leading up to Guzman's escape. CJNG had conducted violent attacks against the government. In April, a CJNG ambush killed 15 police in Jalisco State. In May, the cartel staged 39 roadblocks throughout Jalisco State and downed a police helicopter, killing 6 soldiers. The cartel was also believed to have infiltrated police forces in Jalisco. CJNG and Sinaloa's suspected cooperation on some matters, including on some aspect of Guzman's jailbreak, suggested that there could be some truth to the belief Guzman can act as a moderating force, even if there are signs that the cartels or elements with them are clashing, with Sinaloa's turf in Tijuana as a potential battleground. But even if all that was needed is to bring some wayward factions within the cartels to heel, that's likely still a task beyond the capabilities of Mexican forces. Mexico's security apparatus is simply not ready to combat organized crime, the Mexican intelligence officer told Thompson. This is all some kind of ruse. Suggestion that the government has cooperated with Guzman to ease drug war violence are based on more than just CJNG attacks in early 2015. Hallmark of the war on the cartels in Mexico was the kingpin strategy, which became closely associated with former Mexican President Felipe Calderon from 2006 to 2012, and earned him criticism as taking down cartel leadership appeared to stoke more. Whenever Calderon would take out top guy in the aftermath, what we would always see is some kind of internal struggle or some kind of new violence coming from other organizations trying to take advantage of the weakness of the cartel that got hit. Professor at the University of San Diego told Business Insider during a conversation about Mexico's militarized response to crime. Though certain Mexican president in, or try that again, though current Mexican President Enrique Pinola, or my goodness gracious, try that again. My dyslexia is working double time tonight. Though current Mexican President Enrique Peña Nieto has continued his approach, he has been able to starve off kind of the worst aspects of the kingpin strategy, and it's not exactly clear to anyone how or why that has been the case, said Shirk, who heads USD's Justice in Mexico project. People think that somehow there's been a pact of negotiation between the Peña Nieto administration and certain cartel organizations, Shirk added, noting that there were the same suspicions about Calderon. That Guzman, a marquee capture for the Peña Nieto administration, was able to escape just 15 months after his arrest fuels further speculation that this is all just some kind of ruse, Shirk said. Mexico's PRI and the narco underworld. The history of Peña Nieto's political party, the Institutional Revolutionary Party, or PRI, may also lead some to suspect that the securities policy isn't the government's only concern. Peña Nieto took office in December of 2012 as the first president from the PRI in 12 years. His PRI predecessors ran Mexico as a de facto one-party state for most of the 20th century. In that position, rather than working to eliminate the industry, the PRI permitted some elements of the drug trade to operate. In the late 1940s, amid growing U.S. pressure to fight drug trafficking, it quickly became apparent that PRA honchos had no intention of striving to eliminate the drug business, instead establishing something of public-private partnership with cartels, as Carmen Bulosa and Mike Wallace reported in their 2015 book, A Narco History. The government's periodic crackdowns, Bulosa and Wallace explain, help centralize the drug trade in the hands of the most organized groups, among them the Sinaloa Federation that Guzman would come to lead in the 1990s. And details that emerged shortly after Peña Nieto was elected president in July of 2012 gave Mexicans reason to believe his party still had active links to the narco underworld. In August of 2012, police in Spain, assisted by the FBI, apprehended four suspected Sinaloa cartel members, led Jesus Gutierrez Guzman, El Chapo Guzman's cousin, and among them was Rafael Humberto Ciela Valenzuela. I'm not sure how that's pronounced. Says Ciela Valenzuela attempted to run as PRI candidate for federal deputy in Sonora State in those same 2012 elections, a candidacy that the party tried to block and ended with Venezuela badly defeated after his arrest. Photos that Venezuela had posted on Facebook that showed him with Peña Nieto were made public. He also reported the nephew of Victor Hugo Celaya, an influenced PRI figure in Sonora State who was appointed as general coordinator for the Secretariat of Agriculture shortly after Peña Nieto took office in December of 2012. The PRA insisted that there was no connection between Venezuela and the president and that the photo was a standard part of the campaign. Venezuela isn't the only connection between the PRI and the Sinaloa cartel. Guzman's 2001 jailbreak was assisted by Damaso Lopez Nunez, and his alias is El Licinado, a subdirector for security at Penita Grande. Lopez Nuez, the son of Damasco Lopez Garcia, member of the PRI in Sonora State, for the government in Sonora before joining the cartel, and is now reportedly a high-level leader for the Sonora cartel, who was rumored to be Guzman's successor in February of 2014. Lopez Nunez is also suspected of stealing the blueprints of Pente Grande, which helped Guzman break out of the newly identical Altiplano prison earlier this year. The misdeeds of Lopez Nunez and Ciela Venezuela don't prove that PRI national level leadership is in the league with Mexican organized crime, but they do indicate that the boundary between Mexico's political class and the country's criminal underworld is easily crossed. A perverse game of interests. Agents I've talked to tell me that Sonora has people in every branch of the government, said David Epstein, whose recent article for ProPublica details efforts to bring down the Arellano Felix organization that is now the Sinaloa cartel stomping ground in northwest Mexico. The people I spoke with who work in that world, both who were in the cartel as well as agents in law enforcement, suggested there has never been a single cartel as powerful in Mexico as Sinaloa is right now, Epstein told the Business Insider. As Epstein's story described, the Sinaloa cartel rose to prominence in part because of U.S. and Mexican efforts to bring down the Arellano Felix organization, efforts Guzman and his associates assisted. If, as Epstein details, and the officials told Thompson, fighting the drug war requires shifting alliances between governments and whichever bad guy might be most helpful at that point in time. Then the purported collaboration between the Mexican government and Guzman may just be the latest partnership, one driven by political imperative rather than by a moral consideration. Fight against drugs, the Mexican intelligence official who claimed to have recently overseen negotiations with Guzman's son, Alfredo, told Thompson. A perverse game of interest. This is a 2015 story from the Business Insider. So there you have that. I thought it was an interesting article that may shed a little light on this El Chapo. I'm not surprised by it because everybody pretty much knows that the Mexican government is searching for the correct word here. I want to say fugitive. They're very criminal in nature, and that's just part of their deal down there. You think things are rough here? Try Mexico for a change of pace. Have that. If you like what I'm trying to do here, give it a thumbs up, share it around on your social media so everybody gets to hear the news, and don't forget to subscribe.